Bigger than a hell ring, things like you heard on the decks. Glover hold the court and give the chief no suspect. Politics in the mix, like Gumbo Stewart Rich. Spinning tales from Black Wall Street, real life's the pitch. Donnie Glover Show, read more news. Donnie Glover Show, read more news.
Welcome to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. How you doing, man?
Man, feeling well, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17, Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out. We fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
That's right.
We got more than we can use. We got more than we can handle ourselves. We try to let it flow. Let it flow to the next person.
Yeah. We're proud of you, man.
Thank you.
And we're proud of your son.
Thank you.
You're watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
Business six hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse, dropping wisdom like Hova. Each word a joke. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to days. Donnie the narrator, truth runs in veins. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news.
Top of the morning to you. First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. It's Monday morning, and I hope you had a good weekend. Happy Father's Day. The Bible says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So, a shout out to the fathers. You know, invariably on Father's Day, there's always some dude trying to get points with women. Happy Father's Day to all the mothers who do both the jobs. Do you say on Mother's Day, Happy Father's Day to, Happy Mother's Day to the fathers who do both the jobs? For those people who talk about double standards. It's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day. It takes two to make a baby. Mother, father, father, mother. In our community, we have 70% single mother households. We used to be very married. We used to be more married than the other communities, 30, 40% now. Back in the day, we were more like 60, 70%. Values changed. I think Martin Luther King may have put it best. Dr. King said, the richer we become materially, the poorer we become morally and spiritually. The richer we become materially, the poorer we become morally and spiritually. We have learned to fly the air like birds and swim the seas like fish, but we have not learned the simple act of living together as brothers and sisters. Too many dudes trying to get points with women. Just speak the truth. Women don't need you to patronize them. Do you say double happy Father's Day to the stepdads out there? Well, a lot of times get no points. Do you say that? These dudes trying to get points with women. Just do your damn job. Stay in your lane. Shout out to all the women who do both jobs. Come on, man. dude's supposed to do all this for a woman. He's supposed to do. Well, go tell your homeboys, tell your neighbors, tell your brothers. Social media don't need you to tell another man what he need to be doing. Go out there and help a dude do it. Everything ain't for social media. You want to get points with your woman? Go take her some flowers. Write a book. Trying to get points all the time. Sisters don't need. If they strong enough to hold both jobs, then they, come on now. The double standards. Black man's supposed to carry a lot of weight in this society. A lot of weight. We got John Milton Wesley coming in, but he's getting situated. Peace, brother Chris. Shout out to all the people who throughout the week keep us going. Doing this podcast. It's a labor of love. We try to bring bright voices on, intelligent voices. I was down in Louisiana a couple weeks ago. Second time there. Pushing the book. Working on a fourth book. But this I Am Black Wall Street, we take this all over the country. There's so much Black Wall Street history in Louisiana. It's not just in Oklahoma. That's the whole gist of this book, is that it's not just Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's so much Black history that has been hidden from us right in front of our face. Baltimore, D.C., Chicago. There are 3 actual Black Wall Streets a lot of people don't know. Tulsa is one of 3 official Black Wall Streets. The other 2, anybody know the other 2? How about you, brother Chris? There are 3 official Black Wall Streets. As a matter of fact, if you can name the other 2 official Black Wall Streets, I have a ticket for you to my birthday party. No. There are 3 official Black Wall Streets. That's not it. You shot your shot. But those are nice, though. Rosewood, that was a famous, and I do mean official. They actually have markers, brother Chris. Rosewood was one story. You watch that movie Rosewood, if you don't come out of that feeling fired up, Tulsa's one. Yes, there he is. I had to put my real gear on today. I knew this dude was coming with the 3-piece suit. John Milton Wesley, living icon right here in the city of Baltimore. This is my MC. Did you ever get a chance to talk to Kelly Redmond Bagby?
She did send me a message back, and I told her we're going to get together, and we'll be ready for it. Looking forward to it.
First of all, good morning to you. How are you? Happy Monday.
I'm doing good. It's a little rainy out there, but I love rain, so this is a good thing. Thanks for inviting me to come on and talk about Mound Bayou. That's a special place.
What Frankie Beverly say about joy and pain, like sunshine and rain?
Sunshine and rain. Yeah.
We want the shade of the trees. We want the shade of the trees.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be patient while they get the rain. Need the rain.
Yeah.
Need rain and sunlight.
That's right. And the wind, because we got to have pollination. Don't be like the guy who asked God to let him control the sun and the rain, and he would let it rain a few days, sun a few days, and he didn't get a yield. And he asked God why. God said, "Well, you asked me about the wind. You need pollination." Yeah.
Okay, I put this question out here, and Brother Chris is going to name every Black Wall Street in America. But the question is, and I'll throw it at you. Do you know the 3 official Black Wall Streets in America?
I realize that I don't. I don't.
Well, we all know about Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I mean, I know about Mount Bayou, so you know.
I'm glad you said that. So when I first started researching Black Wall Street, an elder told me about Mount Bayou, Mississippi. We all know about Tulsa. And let me just go ahead and give it to you now, Brother Chris, because you've been a diligent student. The other 2 official Black Wall Streets are Richmond, Virginia, made famous by Maggie Lena Walker. Yep, 3 official. Richmond, Virginia, and then also Durham, North Carolina. Durham, North Carolina. And that was made famous by what anchor institution? John Milton Wesley, oldest life insurance company, or one of the oldest Black life insurance companies in America.
Yeah, I remember his name, but you know, and I've been focused on Howard's
North Carolina Mutual.
North Carolina Mutual. That's right. That's right.
But when I first went researching about the official Black Wall Streets, because we actually have known this stuff, but we didn't know we knew it.
Exactly.
1979, you dropped the bomb on me. Now, interesting thing, Charlie said he wasn't talking about Black Wall Street, but considering, Charlie, that is one of 2 times that this country bombed its own population, Charlie, maybe your subconscious was talking to you. Because that's not something you play around with. You dropped a bomb on me, and you come from Tulsa, and it had no correlation to the bomb dropped on Tulsa? Come on, Charlie. Come on, Charlie.
But they would know, you know, the Gap Band would know.
If we learned anything down in Louisiana, New Orleans, went down to visit 2 fat vegans. My boy Corey always gives me a good tour. You know, there's nothing like going somewhere and you got an official tour guide. People come to Baltimore, they want me to be their official tour guide. I'm like, I gotta go to work. But because they know you know where to go. Like if you want the best jerk chicken in Baltimore, where you going? What part of Baltimore are you going to? You going up Park Heights.
Park Heights, exactly right.
I'm going to 3603 Rogers Avenue, Talinos.
Hey, okay, don't forget the oxtails now.
That ain't my forte. I'm not an oxtail expert. Are you?
Well, I've eaten a few in my life, and it's one of my favorites, I must admit.
I've tasted it. So, you got family in Durham, where we got Black history all around us. But anyway, in New Orleans, and this was explained to me, never heard this before, that New Orleans is actually an island. A gentleman almost argued that, yeah, I met Talinos at Royal Maroon, Brother Chris, Max. You call it Talinos, though, on Rogers Avenue. But New Orleans has Lake Pontchartrain. It's another lake. And then on the south side, you got the Gulf. But some would argue that New Orleans is an island.
No, Donnie. New Orleans is a bowl. Okay.
A bowl?
Yeah, I have sat in New Orleans and looked up at boats, ships passing across. It's one of the things that struck me so weird about that. New Orleans is like a bowl. And if you are sitting in New Orleans, you look up and see ships passing by. Yeah.
So the Mississippi River, you can see that in New Orleans too.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And my boy calls it the North American Indian Superhighway.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I never heard that. That kind of makes sense, like a soup bowl,
Yeah.
where New Orleans is in the middle.
Yeah.
I know one thing he said: don't fall in that Mississippi River.
They may not find you, right? And it's not that deep, but it's so muddy.
200 miles down the way.
Yeah. It's muddy.
I'll tell you another body of water that's caught my attention in life, and it fits into this freedom narrative, is Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
I was with Manny Price, Donna Owens, and Dave Montgomery, and I learned that water that comes from Niagara Falls feeds the thirst of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell me about the Mississippi. Tell me about growing up in Mississippi, because some famous people came from there that we don't know nothing about, and one of them was your godmother.
Yeah.
I just want to know, did you ever see her fight somebody? Because
no, I didn't see her fighting about it physically, but I saw her fight people with her words, and that's what she did. You know, when they began to do the academies across Mississippi, with the first introduction of minimal integration, so to speak, one of the things that happened is that the white superintendents began to try to glean the best teachers from the black schools and take them over to the white schools. And Mrs. Hamer said, "Oh no, we're not going to have that. We're going to keep our quality teachers, and we're going to keep our high school." One of the things that they wanted to do was to close the high school. Not only did she fight the closing of the high school, she then moved into the house formerly built for the principal of the school, and made sure so she could go there every day to make sure that they were not degrading what quality of education that we had. And another way that she fought, let me tell you one other thing too. When we went to the fields to pick cotton, Donnie, the weight that you put on the scale was called a P. And Mrs. Heyman knew that the P owned by the landowners had been altered. So she would carry in her purse her own P, and she would use that on the scale, and we'd get a truer weight of our cotton. And generally, what the owners, but they had straw horses. That's what the Milam brothers were. They would sit over to the side. You would weigh up the sack, call out the person's name, and call out the weight of the sack, and they would just write it down. And that's how they would pay you. So that was another way she fought. She had her own P in order to make sure that what was in our sacks is what we would pay for.
So a lot of Black history in Mississippi. Some people still struggle, I guess, with spelling it, but that was one of the places that you were taught.
Right.
MISSISSIPPI.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So let me ask you,
Go on.
Do you know about this case of Rasheen Carter?
Regine Carter? No, not aware of that.
Well, he was apparently, it got national attention. 25-year-old went missing in Jones County. Some of his skeletal remains were later discovered on someone's property in Taylorsville.
Okay.
A gruesome death.
When was that, Don?
This was the report I'm reading is from 2024. I think it's been 2 to 3 years. It happened November 22nd, November
Oh,
2022.
yeah. No, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, Ben Crump was the lawyer, several press conferences, but this would not be uncommon back in the day in Mississippi, was it? I mean,
Not at
wasn't
all.
like did
Not at
some
all.
civil rights workers end up missing in Mississippi?
Oh yeah, Swerner, Cheney, and Goodman. Oh yeah, yeah. They were found. Well, they had worked in the Delta. You know, they'd worked up in the Delta. As a matter of fact, they was going home from a meeting in the Delta that they were arrested, and then once they were arrested, the night riders were notified, and they were released, and they were given the location. The night riders were given the location, and they followed the vehicle, captured them, beat them badly, shot them, and then dumped them in a area that was being dredged for a building, and we found their bodies a year later. Yeah.
What do you think of cowards like that? You know, I watch these American movies and they show these guys, you know, they're Navy SEALs, and they have such courage. They're going into Afghanistan, Iraq, and various hot spots around the world, usually white guys, and they're real militaristic. Aye, aye, roger that, copy that. We're going to go over there. We're going to take this hill. We're going to make it better. We're going to spread democracy. But when you peel back the curtain, a lot of these cats are cowards. They wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. And you think about the Klan, you 15, 20 deep on one man in his bathrobe.
Yeah.
But you make these pictures in Hollywood that paint you as a hero, as real courageous. When I think about what's that man that was on that ship? It was named Washington. He was an enslaved African, got caught up in the Revolutionary War. He ended up stealing a ship, I think.
Yeah.
He commandeered the ship. There's so much about our history that they hide from us, man. But
well, we have to go and find it, Donnie. You know, we say that they hide it from us, but we have to go and find it. You know, we have to connect the dots. It's our job. It's like when you ask about Mrs. Hamer, for instance. Who was Miss Hamer mentored by? She was mentored by Dr. T.R.M. Howard from Mount Bayou. It was Dr. Howard who got Medgar Evers. He mentored Medgar, he mentored Charles, and he mentored Mrs. Hamer. Dr. Howard gave Medgar a job in 1952 to work in his insurance company. That's how I got to know Medgar so early in my life, because my grandmother was one of his insurance clients. So he would come to our house, and at that time they would come and pick up the money for your life insurance, whatever. But Megan moved to Mount Bayou to work for Dr. Howard. Dr. Howard was one of the wealthiest black men in the state, really one of the wealthiest black men in the country. He owned a 1,000-acre farm. He built the first swimming pool for African Americans in Mississippi, in Mount Bayou. He had a koi pond out in front of his Friendship Clinic, and he had a zoo on his property. He also provided security for African American reporters and visitors who came down to cover the Emmett Till trial, and he gave them armed escorts to the court every day in 1955. Okay. Okay. I'm saying this brother was he was something else, and he would hold meetings. He founded the Regional Council of Negro Leadership, Donnie, and he would hold, is another thing that where I first saw people like Thurgood Marshall. He would hold these tent meetings, Donnie, tent meetings. From 1952 through 1955, he held tent meetings in Mount Bayou, and he would have 10,000 people out there. I remember because it was me and my granddaddy's and Miss Fannie Lou, because she worked with him. Our biggest barbecue job of the year was Dr. Howard tent meetings of the Regional Council of Negro Leadership. And that's how he introduced Medgar to other civil rights leaders through that Regional Council of Negro Leadership.
He had 10,000 people?
He would bring 10,000 people to Mount Bayou once a year, man. It was, I see, it was, and now he also did this in Mobile and other places. See, it was 4 days after Dr. Howard's meeting in Mobile, in Montgomery, rather, that Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat.
Oh, she got pumped up at one of his events.
At one of his events. And my friend David Baito has a book, David Baito, called The Black Maverick, in which he talks about Dr. Howard. But it was after being at Dr. Howard's meeting that she said, today's the day. I had enough.
What's his initials again? TM?
T.R.M. Howard. Dr. T.R. He was a head surgeon. You see, the daughters and sisters of Tabor, founded by a guy named Perry Smith, actually built the first hospital in Mount Bayou.
They had a hospital. So this was a Black Wall Street. It wasn't called that. It was called Mount Bayou.
It was called Mount Bayou. Oh, yeah. Hey, Donnie, they had 3 cotton gins. Okay? They had their own banks. They had their own hospital. They were voting when other people were trying to get votes. Mount Bayou people were voting all along, man.
Now, you got to explain what that means to a Baltimore cat who grew up. Like, I don't know anything about the Mississippi River. I mean, now I do.
Yeah.
But you grew up right there watching that, and that's a wide river, boy. Just like that Niagara. Don't go get caught in that riptide. But I gotta ask you this: what is the Mississippi Delta, and why should I know about it?
Well, the Mississippi Delta was the flatlands. It was the flatlands. If you go from say, for instance, you go from Jackson up 49W. You can get up in the Delta from 49W, which is on the west side, 49E, which is on the east side. They run through the country. And then you got Highway 55. Highway 55 is on the east side, and it was basically built, they said, for the transportation of troops. But be that as it may, the Mississippi Delta flatland. So if you're going up 49W in Mississippi, and you go up to Yazoo City, you're in hills. There are a lot of hills there. Once you get out of Yazoo City, you enter a flatland. That flatland also extends over into Arkansas, but that was called the Delta. And the Delta is where, my Native American ancestors were. The Choctaws, that's where they, just a matter of fact, the Choctaws are talked about in the film Centers. I just talked to my friend Jay Wesley last week, who is with the Choctaws in Mississippi, and there's a little piece in the Centers. But anyway, that's where the Delta was, and where the Delta still is, and that's where I grew up in the Delta. So we were my grandmother and grandfather, we were sharecroppers, and it would flood. Talk with the Mississippi River. I expected every year, every summer, I expected a flood. I could stand in my back room, as they call it, and look out across the field and watch the water coming toward us after the Mississippi levee had flooded. The Mississippi levee flooded quite often during that time. Yeah. Because it was all flat land. There's nowhere for the water to go.
So what would y'all have to do? Would you ever have to abandon ship?
Depends on how high it got. It usually, we had 3 steps up into the front. So it would usually get up to the 3rd step, and it would start moving back. We began to increase the size of ditches so that the water would run off into the local bayous that were around. But
what is the bayou?
A bayou is a small body of water. It's just a small body of water. It's not like generally water flows into it, where you have a river. Water flows from it to something else. But a bayou, water flows from the Mississippi River into the bayou. So at different times, the water is higher than it is at other times.
Okay, so let's get back to TM.
TRM Howard, yeah, yeah.
Now, why don't we know about TRM Howard? Why am I
Well,
60 years old and just being familiarized with this legend's name?
well, let's look at the other part of his legacy. One of the other things, I put it like this: we see the outgrowth of his work. We see Jesse Jackson. We think about Operation Push. Operation Dr. Howard was run out of Mississippi because of his civil rights work and also being one of the top abortion doctors at the time. He was that person that when young girls were violated, whatever, somebody had a pregnancy and they did not want to go through with it. He was a Seventh-day Adventist. He was not a traditional Christian kind of guy. That's why at his regional council and leadership meetings, it wasn't led by ministers. Okay, because he was not a Christian doctor. But anyway, Dr. Howard was one of the greatest abortionists. That eventually had him forced out of Mississippi. When he left Mississippi, though, he went to Chicago. He at one time was considered one of the top abortion doctors in the state because he opened other clinics across Chicago. But the other positive thing about it on the other side is that Operation Push was founded in his basement in Chicago, and most people don't know that.
And for those who don't know, Operation Push is the organization headed by Jesse Jackson.
Well, it was really headed by Doc. It's funny. Jesse was the face of it, but really, Willie Barrow, Reverend Willie Barrow, was the person who actually was most instrumental, and she was an evangelist, one of those powerful preachers. She just
Does a movement belong to any one person?
well, not really. I mean, if you look at things like Mount Bayou had 5 black newspapers.
They had 5 black newspapers.
They had 5 black newspapers.
Cause see, I'm from Baltimore, and cats in Baltimore I'm just thinking on an ignorant level, like, that's down south. They country. They don't know what's going on. You know how Baltimore cat is. Now that Baltimore's the north.
Right. Oh, I thought I was moving up north too now until I got here and realized I'd moved up south, So, but I love it. I love Baltimore is the soup bowl, I should say again, of all of our culture. I mean, it's all the music, all the art. Thurgood Marshall. You look at that, man. You look at people like the people who came through here, and Thurgood Marshall and Dr. Howard were friends. So the first time I saw Thurgood, I was a little boy. And I still remember his shoes, man. His shoes. Okay, but Thurgood Marshall.
Were they shined?
Oh yeah, wingtips. Just the way he looked. He looked and sat with such dignity, man. He just exuded. He just exuded dignity. What can I say? But he came out of that school.
A lot of us don't even know Thurgood Marshall came from Baltimore, man.
Oh, I know. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I ask you about these movements because we live in an era of mega churches.
Yeah.
Jamal Bryant, T.D. Jakes.
Yeah.
And we also live in an era where we still have large organizations, NAACP, Urban League. But when you look at them, when you peel back the layers, when I see it being passed down from one family member to another family member to me, it's no longer a movement. That's your retirement plan. But you're using us. I understand it's nothing like being able to make a phone call to General Motors and say, if you don't stop this, then we're going to protest. And I understand how some people attempted to get that little check in the mail, that hush money. What do you think about that, Mr. John Milton Wesley? You've been studying this thing a lot longer than me.
Well, what we had when we had those organizations, Dottie, we had, well, first of all, the people who were the leaders when I was growing up were people obviously willing to die. Let me just stop with that. They were willing to die. Dr. King knew what he was up against, man. And
Fannie Lou Hamer got beat like a man, they tell me.
that's exactly right. And beaten by brothers. You know, the white officer didn't beat her herself. They had two of the black guards to beat her. Okay. And part of that is because, interestingly enough, they did not want Pap Hamer, who was her husband, to get word that they had beat her, because Pap was always an outlier. And since, you know, I know she's doing that, but if you covet her, if you really covet her, that's why she moved out of the house after she went and registered to vote. And he stayed in one place and she stayed in another. But the point I'm making is that the kind of leaders that we had then, they had to face the fire, man. They had to face being beaten, being locked up. You know, whenever the mayor of my uncle worked with Mega Evans, setting up NAACP local districts across the Delta. And whenever the mayor would be out of town, he would send and arrest my uncle and put him in jail like Friday through Monday morning. And he would come up with something like, disturbing the peace, resisting arrest. If I was to say, well, what is this about, or why are you doing this? Sometimes he would send deputies, and the deputies would say, we were just told to arrest you, sir, and they would keep him, you know. But
Well, they kept locking up your uncle.
oh yeah, they just can't. It's funny. There's a picture of me sitting on a bench in Mrs. Hamer's front yard, Donnie, and the mayor of the town, Charles Durer. As a matter of fact, it was Charles Durer's son who, when Miss Hamer went in for appendicitis, removed her ovaries. It was this guy's son. But anyway, he was the mayor of the town.
Oh, he did what?
Yeah, Mrs. Hamer went in for appendicitis, and he went ahead and removed her ovaries. Man. Yeah. As a matter of fact, she was in the same hospital room with my grandmother at the time, who was in for diabetes. Yeah. It was called the Mississippi appendectomy, brother. Yeah.
That was a sterilization.
Yeah. 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 But they had the power to do that. Now you gotta understand the kind of absolute power here. I mean, here's one for you. People hear about, Jeremy Milam and Roy Bryant and Calvin Bryant, who, by the way, after they killed Emmett in Money, Mississippi, took over the general store across the street from my house. So I grew up seeing them every day. But the fact is that there were about 8 or 9 Milam brothers. And the Milam brothers managed these general stores all over the state of Mississippi. Now, why was that important? Because the Milam brothers had a reputation for being mean. They knew the people who came into those general stores to cash their Social Security checks and whatever kind of check that they had, because it was the same people who rode the buses to the fields to pick and chop the cotton. Okay. So they would use the Milam brothers not only as straw bosses, okay, but they also would manage the general stores. So if you went into a general store and you took your Social Security check for $49, and the Milam brothers told you that, yeah, Mr. Will, but let me see here on your account, you owe me $52. You know, he would say, well, you owe me $30. So they would hold 30 and give you 19 back. And then you had no recourse because if you complained, you would be arrested for disturbing the peace.
I was told a story once about my dad that my grandfather left South Carolina because he shot a white man.
Yeah.
I was told many stories many times, but that story I was told one time. All I know is if you keep taking my money, I'm going to have to take it back. And I'm just wondering what type of justice ever happened to those people.
Nothing ever happened to them, man.
See, that's we got a problem with that.
Well, I mean, as a matter of fact, Donnie, JW became our deputy sheriff, man.
Oh, we got a problem with that.
Well,
he'd have to come up missing.
Well,
and see, that's the thing to get me about this whole Diddy trial. It's easy for us to get mad at the white man.
Yeah.
I remember asking my dad at a young age, did he hate white people? And he said, I don't hate anybody. I hate what some people do. And I always reflect on that he could have said, yeah, I hate white people.
Right.
He could have planted that seed in me early. But I don't have hate in my heart. I love all people. You treat me wrong, I'm going to deal with you accordingly, black, white, or otherwise. But we get mad at white people.
Right.
When they do something ill to us.
Right.
Do we take that same attitude towards black people, like the black people who sold other black people into slavery? Do we take that same attitude toward them? Or black people that we vote to put in the office, and then all of a sudden the same people were begging and banging on your door for you to vote for them, then they get in the office and they get real new and stop taking your phone calls.
Yeah, but then we have to see the thing that Donnie, hatred is a distraction. You need direct action. Hatred is a distraction. One of the things that Dr. King did not get sidetracked by was hatred of fear. And I go back to Donnie. I go back to the Sunday when I got to Memphis to perform for the sanitation workers strike. And I remember riding in on the bus. We got there about 1 o'clock in the day. It was hot, man. And I remember riding on the bus, and I looked out the window, and both sides of the street are lined with National Guardsmen with bayonets at the end of their rifles glistening in the sun. And you could feel the tension in the air in Memphis. And Dr. King went into it. You know, I mean, this is a guy who ran toward the fire. So everybody knew that tension was very, very high in Memphis that week. You could feel it, man. And so for him to be killed there 4 days later, you know, I mean, you can imagine. I was 19 years old. I mean, I'm just there that Sunday, and I was on my way to Carnegie Hall. Congratulations to my friend Malcolm Merrick, who just took his squad to perform there. But I was on my way to perform at Carnegie Hall with Duke Ellington and the orchestra on April 4th.
Hold up. You saying you performed with Duke Ellington?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, there's a clip in the film King Montgomery to Memphis. And I'm a member of the Tougaloo College Concert Choir. And we had practiced a year to do a sacred concert with Duke Ellington and his orchestra. So when you look at that film, King Montgomery to Memphis, there's a clip of us standing on stage at Carnegie Hall. I was a soloist. I went to Tougaloo, HBCU, thank God, on a vocal music scholarship. But yeah, when I got on stage that night after being in Memphis that Sunday, Dr. King was assassinated standing on the balcony next to the room where I stayed. Yeah.
So when you look at a map and you see coming down the East Coast, the Carolinas and the Georgia and the Florida, then next over is Ohio, down to Kentucky and the Tennessee and the Alabama. And then right next to Alabama is Mississippi. You're in between, nestled in between Louisiana and Alabama is Mississippi, the state you were born in.
Right.
What don't us Northerners, even though Baltimore ain't the North, and I told you I just got back from New Orleans. What is the picture I'm trying to share with my brothers and sisters in Baltimore of what I saw there? I saw so much history, and I could feel the ancestors screaming.
Right. Well, Daddy, one of the things that I love about Baltimore, man, is that most of what happened in the civil rights movement across the country, and even economic development across the country, it started here in Baltimore. Okay, and I say that because at the turn of the century, the largest number of freedmen in America were in Maryland. Okay, and their businesses were here in Baltimore. Okay, and because you could get anywhere from here, you know, they said if you can make it on Broadway, you know, you can make it on Broadway, you can make it anywhere.
My daddy said too, if you make it in Baltimore, you can make it anywhere.
Yes, right. I mean, come on, man. Look at the people who to look at it, and look at Oprah. You know what I mean? That's the first example that comes to mind. And
this P. Diddy trial got a lot of people looking at Oprah sideways. I got to tell you.
Yeah. Well, you know, you know, when you
like I say, it's one thing we get real mad when it's the white man oppressing us. My daddy said you need to get mad at them African kings who sold you into slavery. So in Hollywood, a lot of times, we look at white America. We also need to look at the gatekeepers from Black America. That's what I'm talking about. The ones that look like me.
Yeah. Well, we all need a spiritual anchor, Daddy. We need a spiritual anchor, man. And
I know, but when is it the church? Because they got ATMs in the church now.
I know.
You talk about that movie Sinners. One thing in that movie Sinners, they said keep it simple. Right. Let the preacher have a white shirt, black tie, one suit. His wife maybe got 3-4 dresses, maybe 10 hats. But this ain't no beauty contest. And it made me think the old church, we were just glad to be in church. Thank you, Lord. But then church took on a whole other thing.
Well, yeah, I was funny. I was at the King's Center time ago, and as a matter of fact, I was at the King's Center, and I looked at Dr. King's traveling bag, you know, and Dr. King had a small traveling bag. He would wear one suit, and he would have 2 or 3 shirts, and that's what he would have, the same suit, with a different shirt, his Bible, his pen and pad. That's what he traveled with, man. That was what he traveled.
He said, the richer we become materially,
right,
the poorer we become morally and spiritually.
Exactly.
We have learned to fly the air like birds and swim the seas like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers and sisters.
See, and that's why I said hatred is a distraction. We have to get beyond the hatred and focus on what we are for and not what we're against. You see, that's the secret on it, to focus on.
I'm for everybody getting a chance. And one of the things I see, Mr. John, is we get in charge of some of these large organizations. I haven't heard you say that about TRM.
Howard, right.
I haven't heard you say that. I'm hearing a servant person, a servant leader.
Exactly.
But we want to get in there, and some of these preachers want to change the Bible.
Yeah.
They want to start reinterpreting all, Pim. Like when Obama tried to take, with all due respect, LGBTQ to Africa. They like, hold up, Pim.
Right.
That's what y'all do over there in the United States. Don't bring it right here, Pim.
Yeah.
Then Obama and them killed Gaddafi, and we don't even understand the cultural implications of killing the one African who wanted to bring one currency
Right.
to Africa. Because we
Yeah.
don't know who we are, brother.
Well,
We don't know what we believe.
right. Right. And yet we are given, yet we are given a manual. Okay. We are
Our
given
ancestors gave us them pyramids and them the Sphinx.
right. 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 Oh, I mean, we
In
look at
stone.
oh yeah, we look at the University of Walata in Timbuktu. I mean, come on, man. That's where the information that was saved from the flood, it was saved at the University of Walata in Timbuktu. That's how we were able to get and maintain so much of our.
We don't know what Timbuktu is, man. We think Timbuktu is in some far off land and they got nothing to do with us.
Right. Well,
we don't know what Songhai is. We don't know what Mali is. We don't know what Burkina Faso is.
Yes, well, I think sometimes we forget that God gave us a continent,
No, man, we have been brainwashed by mainstream media. That's why I do this thing right here.
Yeah.
Mainstream media, big brother, I'm going to tell you the real truth. When I came out with this book, I shared it with one of my teachers from elementary school, and that teacher told me, and I ain't mad. He said, I didn't know about it myself.
Wow.
Now, he did show us a lot of the things he knew.
Right.
And so when I found out about all of that black white, I couldn't wait to tell him about it.
Yeah.
Look what I found.
Wow. Well, Donnie, when you've been blessed, to see these people, just to stand in their presence, man, just to be around them, and I thank God to have been able to be around them. And I try to share, and I don't do it to drop names, but I try to share with people the essence of people like Adam Clayton Powell, man. I mean, just the essence, an essence of a Shirley Chisholm. To see her, to hear her voice. I mean, I remember what it felt like, man, when this lady was running for president. And I couldn't even get my brain around the fact that this lady's running, and part of me was saying, well, how come nobody did this before? I mean, how come nobody could do it before? But it wasn't about it. Listen, hey Donnie, one of the things that Ms. Hamer, when she founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, okay, she organized it so that it was a training ground for the Democratic National and Republican National Conventions. So she brought everybody, she organized everybody by county. Everybody had the polls with their county name on it. They had ballots that they voted for people. Okay, they had a delegation. They nominated people from each county, and they showed you how it was done. It was after that time that she also challenged the Democratic Central Committee, saying, "Wait a minute. These people elected as delegates do not represent the full state of Mississippi."
Because that's why this young girl in Maryland named Ufoma is about to start the Young Black Democrats of Maryland, because she found the Young Democrats of Maryland, even in 2025, got some chicanery with them. Everybody need black people until they get what they need. White women, Latinos, LGBT, everybody want to claim the civil rights thing until they get what they need, and then they pull out. And that's why black women said, I don't care who you are, don't come over here asking us for nothing. We asked you, we told you who to vote for, and Latinos, you ain't got nothing coming from black women. Black women don't want to hear you say nothing. We told you, you went over there and got deported. You thought you was gonna kiss up to the white people, and they were gonna treat you as their equal, whatever that is, and you got deported. Now you crying to black people. Oh, black people, nah. Black people say that we on time out right now. Y'all gotta go get your stuff together.
Well, I think that's kind of evident if you look at it, Doni, in terms of what's going on in Los Angeles. I think the most telling statement about Los Angeles is who did not show up. Okay, everybody is focused on who showed up, but the hidden story is who did not show up.
Who didn't show up?
African Americans did not show up. I mean, because in 1992 and 1993, when we were battling that whole situation with police, we were pretty much on our own in that. Okay, we were pretty much the black community, the gangs.
You saying black people did not show up recently?
Recently, right. They're setting this one out.
Well, white people put them in there according to the stats, because it's hard to know, did he even win?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I got to get back to work here. I took some time off to be with you, my brother.
Hey, you sharp too, man. How you stay? Who taught you to dress sharp?
Grandmama.
The one and only Wesley. We will see you in a couple of weeks, June 27th. You will be
looking forward to it, my brother. Thank you.
MC for
keep up the great work.
We appreciate you much. Thank you. Talking to the one and only John Milton Wesley. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. I hope you learned something. Nothing to it but to do it. Got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.